Good morning. Happy Screw It All Saturday. Welcome to a new season of my writing corner. As you can tell, I am not in my house. I am out on Bear Lake for the first time this season. It's been a cold and wet spring, I tell you what. That tapping in the background is a woodpecker across the lake. Clearly, he's carrying on. It's very calm. It's a wee bit chillier than I'd have liked, but I needed to get out on the lake because I've been carrying my kayak around on my roof for like a week now, and yeah, the water was calling. Plus, I have been graduated from college for 2 weeks now with an Associate's in Math Science from JCC. And in the fall, I start at SUNY Fredonia towards my bachelor's and then ultimately my master's degree in biochemistry. The short answer is I plan on getting into prion research, which will indeed require a doctorate. I know I'm almost 50, but I'm planning on having my doctorate before I turn 50. So that'll give me a good 10 to 15 years of research. And with the way that the world is moving so quickly, I'm sure I'll have a hand in something eventually. I mean, the girls that I used to work with at the park, have every confidence in me. So I will do my best to not let them down. As you can tell, as this video continues to brighten, it is sunrise. It is absolutely gorgeous out, and like I said, it is chilly, but with the sun up now, I have every expectation that it will definitely warm up. There's 2 other people out on the lake, but they are fishing, and I'm over in a quiet little cove trying not to bother anybody. A lot has gone on since my last season. Like I said, I graduated from college. I am working on the probably the start of the final draft of Way of the Fist, book 4, the Corelon Zepheroth, which has taken me just about a year to write. And yes, I have had to write most of it. I had most of Blythe and Mythos' storyline done. That required a little bit of tweaking. However, everybody else's storylines needed to be written. And a few new characters were introduced. I'm excited to talk about them. One character who's been in the story for a while now, Davin, he makes an appearance and has a more prominent role now that he has joined with Blythe and Mythos, Keiko, Liren, and Jamian. A character I introduced in the last book. Oh, hello, gorgeous. Sorry, there's a falcon flying overhead. A character I introduced towards the end of the 3rd book, Alita, the bard, has had a more prominent role. Tarek has found himself a mage. His children, especially his eldest, the Prince of the Blood Quent, and his second eldest, Warwick, have definitely taken on more prominent roles. Another character that I introduced at the end of the last book, Keitha, she has definitely stepped up more in this book. Anya and Gordon have gotten themselves a bard as well. His name is Cashton. And he's becoming quite the character. Vivica had brief appearances in all 3 of the books, but she is becoming more prominent. in this one because Anya has taken a shine to her. That was the falcon hollering and carrying on. I did a sweep before I settled here and did not see any nests, but there's also a sparrow harassing the poor bird, so it could just be fussing because of that. Anyways, so have I mentioned how much I miss being out on the lake? All of this nature, the water, the beautiful birds, the sun coming up. I have a coffee date with one of my besties, one of the Fantastic Four, which we totally are. At this point, I graduated with one of my besties. I was so psyched, and one of my cousins 2 weeks ago, so that was really cool. My kids were there, my parents were there. I sent the video link to my grandmother and my aunt. One of my dad's sisters was there, obviously, because my cousin graduated. But I digress. So, Way of the Fist, Corelon Zepheroth, yes. Without spoiling anything, I'm going to try my best to talk a little bit about it because, yeah, I've been working on it at work, and yes, I did get a new job because I graduated. I'm no longer driving over to Jamestown every day. I got a job. Yes, it's factory work again. I know. I spent 11 years at the ice cream factory. I did 4 years in healthcare, but this one's definitely putting me through my paces. I'm third shift sanitation at technically it's Schwann's, but it used to be Better Baked, and most everybody knows it as Better Baked. They make the French bread there for the French bread pizzas for like Red Baron and Schwann's and, you know, all those different companies. But anyway, so yeah, which means dough and French bread for me. Not a crap ton, not all the time, but, you know, I'm sliding in there about once a week, grabbing a nice sized chunk, and the dough has to be used immediately or it has to go into the freezer. So as my youngest turned 22 yesterday, and I was able to help them out financially because they're moving out and needed help with the first month's rent and probably the second month's rent, but that's okay because this new job is freaking fantastic. It's more than $1 more an hour than the park was. It is, yes, it's physical, different kind of physical. Yes, I've been back in the pool. My plan is 4 mornings a week after work. 30 minutes of breaststroke like I used to, and then I'm doing for at least a week 5 minutes of freestyle with the resistance paddles to try and build up my upper body strength because I was struggling to put the machine back together last week. But anyways, I digress. So this is the only summer I'm taking off in my in my efforts to get my degree and get into prion research. So I am spending that time working on my book, which I do on most of my breaks, which I do some of the time when I'm home, when I'm not working in the yard or passing straight out. But anyways, so as with the other 2 books, it starts out with Kaylin's storyline, and she's kind of conflicted at this point because if you've read the 3rd book, which is available, by the way, it is Caitlin. Her brother Tarek secured away her powers as best he could to give her a chance to be a normal half-elf, but that didn't last very long. And now she sees the evil that is coming. She doesn't know how or when, but she is aware that they are coming. And so she has joined together the Freelands, which was a collection of city-states, 12 to 15 spread across the country. She has turned it into the Freeland Confederacy, and it's really interesting. She now is concerned with strengthening the alliances between her people, the Vakaran, and the individual city-states. She also wants the whole country to thrive. She really does. She wants to see the Vakaran grow and flourish. She wants to see the city-states not only trading with each other and building better relations, but also eventually trading with the Skenderan, and who knows, in the future there may be port cities that are set up to trade with Nishan and the rest of Terra. But that's a story for another book. And so she's got a lot on her plate with trying to connect the city-states and get everybody ready for this evil that's coming. And then we move to Blythe, Mythos, Keiko, Lyran, Jamie, and Davin, and Alita. So the first chapter is all of them together. So is the second chapter. But after that, it splits because Mythos chooses to fight in the armed part of the tournament while Blythe fights in the martial arts. And as those two have found new friends, that leaves Lyran and Jamie and Davin to their devices. And so that also is a couple of chapters. Jamie does his thing. Lyran and Davin spend a lot of time together. Alita's doing Alita. There's a lot going on with her that has yet to come out. That'll eventually come out in subsequent books. And then we move on to Isadora and Glaive. And that's a whole fun and exciting thing in and of itself because they've returned to Nestapor. And shortly after their return, they decide that, Isadora decides that she wants to see the country that she is going to be ruling. And they quickly realize that things aren't the way that Glaive left them. There is this unexpected monster army, yes, another monster army sweeping through the country, relatively unchecked. Yes, there are some local lords who are doing their best to stand up to them, but with little to no assistance from the capital, they are struggling. And so Glaive finds himself at the head of an army, not completely unlike what he was with Mythos in the Monster Wars of Iskenderan, but with his blushing bride at his side, she and her war mage and her ladies' maids. And I almost forgot, they acquire themselves a cleric, Father Taraj. Yes, I retained that name from one of the very, very, very first iterations of the Way of the Fist books that I wrote towards the end of high school, beginning of college. But anyway, so yes, Father Taraj, and then Isadora's soldiers, as well as the noblemen that Glaive had brought along that didn't participate in the Monster Wars, but they are certainly taking a more active role in this particular war. Plus, Isadora's man Daneric and Glaive's informant Willem have definitely been thrust into the forefront of this conflict. So that's going on. And then we shift the next chapter to Anya and Gordon. And as with Glaive and Isadora, they choose to go out into the country so that Anya can meet the people. Now, they tend to stay more south and west because there's still the threat of danger in the northeast, which is vaguely broached later on, but they spend a lot of time down in Karnak, which is the trade capital of Iskenderun. They also, hello little goldfinch, meet Gordon's uncle, Laraye, who is the admiral of the Navy, and things start to take shape with that, along with their contact with Kaylin, who is reaching out to any and all individuals who can help her learn about these creatures that she's been having visions of. And it is nearly midsummer, so the tournament that Blythe and Mythos participated in a year ago is getting underway. And that's a whole event in and of itself. Then we shift over one more time to Tarek and his son Quent, as well as his new soon-to-be spy master Krevitz. Now, Krevitz made an appearance towards the end, we'll say the middle of the third book, and he was Renee's informant in Tarek's camp, or attempted to be, but that is a whole thing in and of itself. And the first chapter is where we meet Celestria, who is Tarek's mage. She is introduced to him through Drusilla, who has been an important figure in all three books. And so yeah, that is all that I'm going to say about this book for now. I also have returned to my Spotify show because they have stopped running ice commercials and stopped sporting ice. I'm also on TikTok once a week to promote my book and to promote my YouTube channel and my Spotify. Plus, I am also getting back into world building on my WordPress page, writtenworldofterra.com. All of these links will be included in the comments, or in my bio, whatever you want to call it, description below. Oh, blue heron. I'm being watched by a blue heron. I don't have ADD. Squirrel. Or in this case, birds. Oh, you are gorgeous. But anyways, so yes, I will be talking more about that books. Buy my books. Check them out. And in case you were wondering, I am under no obligation to make sense to you. So have a great day.